I feel like I want to say, beware, ye, all ye who enter here. Spirit's been bringing me on this kick about, what is it, aggressive affirmations. There's some folks on TikTok that started it. I feel like TikTok is like the perfect app for a delicious brat and imp like me. And there's plenty of people who want to have a good time and good energy, and it's a safe way to be social with, the world doing what it's doing. In any case, just be aware. Working with me in this moment is likely to get you an aggressive affirmation. Because it's one of those, I feel like, I can remember a time when I watched readings almost religiously. And it actually, there's a real name for it. It's called stimming. As a neurodivergent, that's very, very common, though anybody can experience situations of extreme anxiety where we go through stimming. And a lot of times the twin flame journey reveals that we have attachment traumas, which is something I'm going to talk about more on my channel. I've been meaning to for a while, but there's been this whole learning to walk in silence thing, which for me has been a trip and a half, though it's such a valuable experience, along with learning to release fears of death and fun stuff like that. And spirits had me out in the world doing things, which I love. I've always been a very like hands-on person. I've done so many different what would in the past have been qualified as men's jobs or masculine jobs, because I love to do the things with my hands. I like to have it in front of me, to smell it, taste it if I really feel like it, do that sort of thing. And I feel like that's kind of like I don't know, there's a lot of people in the collective that are somewhat in that energy of like the only thing that's really missing is that you're still attached to that. I need this 3D thing in front of me before I can give myself full permission to really be like, I have it. I'm in love. I've got the thing. I've got all the confirmations. I've got all the information. Because sometimes without that 3D thing in front of us, we convince ourselves that we don't have it, or that it's not real, or that we're crazy. The funny thing is, I've been learning about something that I knew about in the past, but that is now being brought up in a new way, which is to me a great example of how Spirit does it, and why Spirit often says you don't need to know everything right away. Sometimes it's better when you learn it later. And there's plenty of times that you got the information in the beginning, but you didn't know. So here's an example. With neurodivergence, especially ADHD, there is what's called object permanence, which is actually something that I knew about from learning about child psychology and things like that. Now, when you are like well, it's more when you're under 3, but it can go up to age 6. This is when we're developing object permanence, which I'm kind of wondering if that might be more of a connection than necessarily the neurodivergence, because oftentimes the spectrum is tied in with attachment traumas. But here's the thing. When we are little, we actually, like, if you have a baby and you leave the room, they have what's called, it's object impermanence. So when you leave the room, in their brains, there's no part developed in, I believe, the prefrontal cortex that helps them remember that you didn't just disappear. Like they don't know. They literally have no biological ability to know that you did not just blip out of the universe. You know what I mean? And that's why they often will cry, until they've learned to self-soothe and things like that. But this happens up to 3 years old. It can go as far as 6, but typically we've developed it by 3, unless we've gone through a lot of trauma, which has happened for let's see, at least the last 4 generations, I'm gonna say. Like, because people taught that you just let them cry it out, and then before that it was, here, hand them to the sibling, and like all sorts of stuff. So during those stages when we're supposed to learn healthy object permanence, we get stunted along the way. And now they're realizing that what goes along oftentimes with neurodivergence, and it also lines up with what we see in anxious attachment style, is object permanence. It's not there so much. So when it's very similar in this way, that when you don't have your DM texting you or talking to you or looking at you or saying you're mine and I love you and I'm never leaving you, that object permanence is getting you. It's like, when they're not texting you, oh my gosh, did they just blip out of the universe? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They're in an energetic sense, they're literally one room away from you. Like one room away. They did not disappear. They're just doing some things in that room. It could be, it's, if you take the infant and the parent thing, it's like the infant could be in there crying, going, "Oh my gosh, where did that adult thing go that's supposed to keep me safe and feed me and play with me and stuff?" And you're in the other room, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're getting things going. You know that baby's not in any real danger for a few minutes. You'll go in and check on them, but you could leave again and they could cry again. And this is kind of like, this feels like the aggressive affirmation from spirit, is like, this is what a lot of DFs are doing. And I'm seeing it a lot with readers too. And yes, I'm coming for you because I'm coming for me on it too. Is like, we get into this space of like, okay, well, they're not here yet. And I'm seeing these other 3D things going on, and all this other stuff's going on. I know I'm working on it, and I know I'm getting my good self-talk, but what if? But what if? But what if? No, stop that. That's just object permanence. It's a 3D thing. And I know that saying stop is not exactly the easiest thing, but plenty of you are at the space where hearing this right now will either, one, trigger you hard enough to be mad at me that you'll go and work it out in a way that will help you, or two, you're already here and ready to hear this, and all you needed was permission to release all that old shit. And that's a lot of what I'm feeling like. There's a portal happening right now. It's the Virgo new moon, and while the sun is in Virgo, so Virgo is ruled by Vesta, the virgin and the prostitute. It's also co-ruled by Mercury, which has everything to do with the way we think, the way we communicate, the way that we get into things. And we're heading into a Mercury retrograde in Libra, which means it's in a sign that it really likes. It's air sign in there, but it's going retrograde. So this is bringing us back into that stuff. Now, Libra rules the 7th house. The 7th house is all about relationships, union, harmony, you name it. Like, we're going into some really big shit. And here's the thing. You can tell what you're going into. You can tell if you've really done the work, not by what's going on right now inside you, but look back. If you've been journaling, like I've been telling you to for a while, then you can look in your journals. If you've made notes, if you've done voice memos, if you've kept screenshots of things, whatever it is, go back and look at your Facebook memories, your TikToks, your readings, whatever the fuck it is. Go back and look at what you were doing when we had the full moon in Virgo while the sun was in Pisces. Okay, that should have been February. Go back and see what was going on, what your intuition said, and remember how you were feeling, because it's our feelings that plant the seeds that then grow later, okay? And it's very important every year that you at least make sure to honor that Virgo Pisces axis, because when the sun is in Pisces is when we are entering the new year astrologically speaking. So the seeds that you sow, the energy that you're in, the thoughts that you're thinking, the way that you're talking to your own heart, the way that you're listening to your own heart, that's the shit that you plant, and that's the stuff that you start to reap the harvest of now. So go back and look at what you were doing. I don't care if you're feeling like the biggest, most depressed person ever. If you, back in when we had the full moon in Virgo, if you were in a good place and you were feeling positive, the things were going well, and throughout that period where we had the Pisces, sun in Pisces and the full moon in Virgo stuff going on, even if just in that little window, you picked good self-care stuff, you picked self-worth, you said, you know what, I know I'm freaking amazing, and this is all gonna work out, and I'm just gonna learn how to feel damn fantastic throughout the whole process. If you were doing something like that, that's what you're now going to see coming about. If alternatively you were in a space of like telling people that you felt it was all good and that everything was going good, but you really didn't feel that way just yet, it's not a bad thing, but that's what you're seeing right now, is a waffly vibration. It can feel like delays, it can feel like other things, but it's actually not. It's because you planted the seeds in a waffly vibration. Now you're getting a waffly manifestation. Can you correct that? Yes, though it depends on how you feel right now about what I'm saying, right? If you're feeling really triggered about what I'm saying and you're looking back going, oh no, I was really depressed and I was mad and we were fighting and all that stuff, like, go and look at the triggers. It doesn't mean that you can't turn it around. It's just that it's like if you went to plant habanero peppers in your garden and you accidentally planted banana peppers because you didn't fully unroll the package or something, or you didn't really look at it, somehow you planted the wrong ones, okay? Now, if you then like grow out the banana peppers and go, oh fuck, that's not what I wanted, and throw them out, you've just wasted some fucking awesome banana peppers. You know, why would you do that? Why throw the baby out with the bathwater? You could just plant the ones that you wanted, and then you got both kinds. On top of that, you know, if you're watching what you're doing, if you're tending it, if you're going to a gentle place when you need to, you're watering it, you're talking to it, if you're active with what you are manifesting, if you are conscious with what you are manifesting, if you are, when you find yourself going to that place of being like, I'm sorry for being who I am, and you stop and you go, no, why am I apologizing? That's beautiful. You're correcting that. You're pulling the weeds out from around your stuff. That's good. Keep doing that. And then start changing your vocabulary. Instead of saying, no, I'm not sorry. Why am I apologizing? Instead, say, you know what? Look at me. I'm freaking adorable. I'm still apologizing for shit that I have no business apologizing for because I'm freaking delightful. You know, like that. Start upgrading it. And then that won't even be a part of your vocabulary. Same thing with other stuff. Like if you've been in a karmic relationship and you're beating up on yourself because you were waiting for your DM to get out of it, you were doing, you know, you were in the space of like, I'm not going to do it. And you realized that you were participating in that karmic learning lesson because you both were doing the same thing. You got to get out of the energy of beating up on yourself. I don't care how far you went with the third party. You know, it was lessons you needed to learn. It was stuff you needed to do. Start upgrading your story so that it matches the story that you want to manifest. Like it's not, oh, I wasted all this time and I didn't do it right and I wasn't doing good. No, you did exactly the right thing for you. And that's exactly what your DM wants you to do, is to do exactly the right things for you. And you're not always going to know what that looks like in the moment, but it looks fucking perfect now. And I tell you what, when you get into a state to where you're like, you know what, damn straight, I did that really weird thing. You know, like, of course I went through and did this stuff because I'm human too. And I did the best that I knew how to do in the moment that I did it. And when I learned, I upgraded it. I updated it. I up-leveled it. The same thing with like what you're doing right now, right? Now, I don't know, that wasn't I've been avoiding doing readings all day long because I knew that my energy was likely to come out this way, but you know what? It just is what it is. I'm stealing my DM's terms on that. It just is what it is. Now, here's the thing. I already decided I could go right into a DM reading, but what I want to know first is how are y'all feeling? And I'm going to pull some cards on that. You can feel free to chat in there, but I'm going to pull some cards on it. And we're going to talk about this because I could tell you anything that I feel like I could tell you the truth. I could make something up. I could go any way I want to do it about what DMs are doing right now. I don't even need the cards to tell you what DMs are doing right now. I can see it in my own. I can see it in a whole bunch of other DMs of people that I work with, people that I run into. I could tell you exactly what's going on with DMs. But if we don't know how you're feeling in all this, if you're still in kind of an ambiguous state, or you're like, you're afraid, oh man, he's being nice, but will he hurt me again? Like, that is going to continue to waffle the manifestation of union, especially because it's not just you. You're co-manifesting with a bunch of people around you. And this especially includes if you've had DMs that have been in third parties, okay? Because you're thinking, well, what if he hurts me? Guess what he's thinking? Oh, well, what if she hurts me again? And guess what? That goes and gets magnified because of whatever third party they're with. And then they go, oh, what if I get hurt? And then more people do it. So you got to be the point to which that cycle evolves. You got to take it from that. First of all, so you get hurt. Have you met you? Have you seen what you have been through? Have you seen what you have survived? It's never going to be as challenging as it was. Whatever you have been through, whatever level you are on your twin flame journey, it's never going to be that bad again. Every time you make it through something, it gets easier, and healing tends to come in waves. So yeah, it's happened repeatedly because you had to learn your lessons. You had to learn your lessons. I'm saying it. You had to learn your lessons. It's not a bad thing. Yes, DMs had to learn their lessons too, but you had to learn your lessons. You had to go through it because you wouldn't be able to get to a point where you could listen to a video like this and be able to be comfortably listening to it unless you had healed a whole lot of things in you. You needed that too. You needed those sad moments. You needed those depressive moments. You needed those crazy moments. You needed those team no sleep moments. You needed to be in a place where you were like, so in touch with the humanness of emotions that you went to such a deep level that you were afraid you'd never fucking come out of it again. And you did. You did that. You. Yeah, I'm gonna try to find my camera up here. You did that. You did that. You are fucking amazing. Like, don't let anything in the 3D change the way you feel about that, because that's all it is when you go, why are they being slow? Because it's self-doubt, it's self-worth stuff. And if you want a twin flame journey, you have to love yourself. Yeah, there's going to be moments where you're going to feel like giving up, but they actually get fewer and farther between. And you got to remember to adjust your story. When you catch yourself saying something like, oh man, I feel like giving up, and that feeling is so real, just update it, okay? I'm not saying ignore the reality of how you feel. I'm saying, do you want to keep feeling that way? Because if you don't want to keep feeling that way, then upgrade the story you're telling yourself, rather than, man, sometimes you just really feel like you want to give up. Change that, upgrade it to, there have been some times in the past that I have really felt like giving up, but look at me. I didn't. I got close. Or maybe sometimes, you know what I did? I had a full out ugly cry, and I fought with my DM, I fought with everyone else, and I signed the papers, and I ripped up the pictures, and I got with other soulmates or whatever thing. Maybe you did give up a little bit, but guess what? Giving up can be good for you sometimes. It can be very cathartic. The only thing is, you got to recognize that you're giving up for you. It's not to teach them a lesson and all this shit about, well, I ain't gonna talk to them anymore because they don't deserve me. That's a lesson for you. That's a lesson for you. It doesn't teach them shit. They're off busy with third parties specifically so you can learn this lesson. Because you can act like you're doing wonderfully and that you're feeling really, really great, but spirit always knows the truth. Like, people on the outside, sure, they could be fooled, but spirit always knows the truth. Your inner being always knows the truth, and you always know the truth. And that includes the truth that you're fucking irresistible to your twin flame. You don't have to do anything to be irresistible to them. The only thing that stops them from coming to you is your resistance to it. Let that sink in. The only thing stopping your twin flame from coming right to you, I'm talking right up to your fucking door. I don't care if they're in another country. The only thing that's stopping them from coming to you right now in exactly the way you want them to is your resistance to that idea. Unpack that. Unpack that. It'll be good for you. All right, now let's see. Let's look at collective DF energy. Oh yeah, look at this. First up. Come on, fellow divine feminines. Broken heart. Actually, it's not fully a bad thing because it's in reverse. Because if you look at it, look. Broken heart and upright. So it's in reverse. But it's still, the energy that I get off it, the reason that I say, oh, come on, fellow divine feminines, is because, yes, you are getting over the broken heart stuff, but you're still focused on the story of it. It's this tiny of a chapter. It's that small. It's tiny. Squish it in there. Recognize that you're still writing, like, you're not even halfway through the first part of your book. Okay? And especially in terms of your journey with your twin flame, you're not even that far into it. I don't care if you've been going 20 years like me, or 40 or 60 years. It's only this much of your story. You got lots of pages to go. Are you going to write more chapters that have all to do with how, you're over it while they're over there doing this? That's what it looks like, right? That's what it seems like, that they're over here doing this with third parties. They're not. Guess what? You're sitting here thinking about, okay, so I've healed, but I did get hurt. It did happen. Yes, you're right. It did happen. It did. So what? At this point, so what? Let that shit go. Let that story flow. Let it go out the garden gate, right? This is your gateway. This is Vesta. This is thresholds. She's the virgin and the prostitute, which means she's also the loving mama and the strict high priestess. I was going to say the nun. I don't know why that was a reference in there. Maybe that's something for somebody. But here's the thing. While you're sitting here trying not to look, this is how these cards came out. While you're sitting here focusing on the part of your story that hurt, trying to avoid another heartbreak and thinking about them and all the things that they might be doing, and you're also sitting here thinking about how much you want this with them, you can't have it as long as that's in there. But guess what they're doing too? Guess what they're doing too? Because they always reflect you. If they're your twin flame, they always reflect you, and you always reflect them. So y'all are sitting here in this energy. This is part of what I mean. I don't have to guess at what's going on with DMs. I could tell you why they're not here. Right? Let's see if these cards will say what's really keeping the collective in this space of almost like nostalgia over heartache. Like, it almost, you know what it feels like? It's like, but if I let go of all this bitterness, of all this pain, if I let go of all these things, then how will I know if they might hurt me again? How will I know? How will I know if they'll stop being hostile towards me? How do I learn how to stop being hostile towards them? That feels like the bigger thing, Divine Femmes. How do I stop being hostile towards them and towards myself? That's the truth in there, at least for some of you. How do you put down the sword? Swords are thoughts too. How do you put down those thoughts? How do you put them down? And the other one that came out is contract. And for me, that definitely, it's for those of you that are thinking about them that are in third parties, or that are saying, I got work, or I got karmic contracts, things to work on, stuff like that. But it's just 3D bullshit. It really is. And a lot of it is because they're also being hostile with themselves. And a lot of them have been such jerks that they, you know what's funny? My guides just said, no, cut out from that, because a lot of us have been jerks. I can own it. I've been an incredible jerk through some of this journey. Sometimes because I knew that I needed to share my real feelings, and other times just because I was feeling like a jerk and I wanted to blame somebody else, and I wanted to have those moments. And you know what? I spent a lot of time after I did that shit beating myself up for it, until I got to the place to where I realized that spirit wastes nothing. There's nothing lacking, nothing missing, and nothing gets wasted. And there's so many good things that I learned, that my DM learned, that people around him learned, that people around me learned, when I forgave myself for what I felt like other people would beat me up for, so I beat up on myself about it. You gotta stop being hostile with you. You got to stop worrying about every little thing that might go wrong, or every little thing that you might do wrong. It looks like we've definitely got some sacral chakra blockages here. We've got Healer of the Ages in reverse too. Kind of feels like one of those comfortably numb sort of things. And it's like, you know, there was a reading that I did a while ago, and I talked about, you know what to do. Other readers talked about it too. You know what to do to call your twin in. You do. It's in you. There may be layers of other crap on top of it, ego, trauma, all that stuff, but you know what to do. It's just your resistance to the idea of it being that easy that blocks it. And that's the same thing with everything in manifestation, everything in magic, all the things. It's not the actual act of getting the things, of manifesting the things, that blocks us. It's our resistance to the idea being that easy. So I'm going to pull some cards for DMs, but keep in mind, like, for one thing, every time you get a reading, every time you do that, you affect the outcome. I want you to know that. Every time that you come in and you get a reading, it doesn't make it a bad thing. Just recognize it. This is part of the think of it like the boson-Higgs particle. Every time somebody observes it, it changes. They have literally tried to record it and then ship out the recording to somewhere so that nobody's ever seen it other than the computers, and then observe it. It still changes. They can't explain it yet. But here's the thing. People, shamans and ancient cultures have known this for ages. Every time you interact with somebody, you exchange energy with them. This is part of why, as a tarot reader, it can get very exhausting to do channelings and tarot readings. It's not actually the reading itself or the channeling, it's all the people you interact with, all the people that come to watch you, the people that come to watch you later. Like, we are literally giving a piece of ourselves when we're giving readings to you. And here's the thing, when you are listening to these readings to see what your DM, what's going on with your DM, guess what you're doing? You're up in your imagination, which is connected to the 5D. You're imagining all the things that are going on. Your imagination is the birthplace of creation. Your imagination is the birthplace of creation. It is the birthplace of your manifestations. What you imagine to be true is what then manifests. So when you're listening to it and you hear somebody saying, yeah, you know what, he's working out some mother wounds with a third party. If you go to this man, he's always doing that. Guess what? You're birthing. Or if you're in a place of like, oh man, I miss him so much, which by the way is adorable. I'm not saying stop doing that. I'm just saying in your imagination, that's what you're birthing. Because you are that powerful. You are that powerful. If you're listening to this reading and you made it this far through this reading, you are that powerful. Thoughts become things. When you speak things into reality, they become things, and that starts here. And if when you get a reading that says, yeah, it's not today, you're actually altering that reading by how much longer you think it's going to be than today. If somebody tells you, oh, it's going to be September, and you think, yeah, it's great, but then you listen to other readings, and they're saying, well, there might be a delay here, and there might be this there, and this big thing is happening, and you're still not in this place of, yes, September, fucking September, yeah, then you're changing it. It's not delays. You're that powerful of a manifester. Spirit's been trying to get this through to you. You can do it any way you want. It's still coming to you. It's just that you're creating resistance in the process so that you can learn how to not do that. Because most of our guides, including your alls, have the best sense of humor. Where do you think humor comes from? It comes from Spirit. All right, let's see. I'm gonna pull some cards. What's going on with DMs? I'm curious if it's gonna be similar to what I. Man, my whole head is buzzing from this. This is great. All right, let's see here. All right. 4 of Swords. Look at that. They're taking a rest. They're also praying. Yeah, and look who's on the bottom there. Who do you think they're thinking about? That's in the under all, the shadow card stuff. They're thinking about spirit stuff. They're thinking about divine feminine, right? And the spiritual aspects of divine feminine, not just that like physical Empress Mama coming in. They're thinking about the spiritual acts, the spiritual. Oh, why does the word it wants to say axis? The spiritual axis of feminine. Why are you telling me to word it that way? It's the spiritual side of divine feminine. Like, the Empress is our 3D side. I don't know why it wanted to say axis. It's kind of fitting, but yeah, there is an axis. You know, and there's axis also in there because it's like an X-axis. There's Emperor and Hierophant and the Empress and the High Priestess. We are on all of the axes, but like right now they're doing shadow work that has to do with the 5D feminine side, and they're doing it because they're thinking about you. Let's see what's going on here with this 4 of Swords. It feels like they're going through some soul retrieval, which is about on time. Okay, so yeah. All right, look at this. Now it's on the bottom of the deck. We have the 10 of Swords there, which means things are ending. And as I often teach, if you look, he's making the sign of ascension, and these are swords. So yes, this is ego death. It's a lot of ego death, but it's also death of old ways of thinking. It's new cycles being born. It's ascension, which is exactly what you want to see. Ascension, right? But that also means that you've got to, the only way to rendezvous with them during this ascension, because this ain't the last one. They're not going to be like, they're not going to like wake up and be like, I am divine now and I'll never do anything wrong again. No. It's cycles, and you're going through cycles of this too. So we're headed up to the next cycle, right? And what the cards that we got that came out, we have the Hermit, not surprised there. The Magician, which is, guess what, related to Vesta and Mercury, right? Because this is about initiations, this is about communication, this is about manifesting, and this is about thresholds. The journey begins. I also saw the Fool going through there too. So, and then look at this, no surprises here. The Six of Swords. Retreat, healing, calming waters. And look here, the Tower. Guess what that means? Guess what that means? Like, this is part of why I didn't need, I don't need to know this, and this is part of why I've been having a hard time doing tarot readings, because I'm like, how do I lay it out when I already know the answer? But see, that's, I think, what Spirit wants you to learn how to do. Yes, readings are nice and they're fun and they can bring confirmations, but they should not be the source to which you base your belief systems about your twin flame union on. Because otherwise you're relying on what other people tell you to try to have a basis for what reality is. And if you try to plant a reality flag in someone else's reality, it will always earth shake. Because their shit's gonna change. And because when you think about it being from them, they're actually reflecting back to you how you are feeling, and then you're changing it. You gotta plant the reality flag inside you, not inside what your twin flame's doing, not in what some reader is telling you. I love other readers. Mwah, I love it. I love reading too. Like, this is really great, but don't plant your reality flag in what they tell you, whether they're beautiful and good and totally accurate or not. Plant your reality flag in you, in your heart, in your intuition. And then love it, and let go of the outcomes of time. It's this much of your chapter. It's this much of, it's not even halfway through the beginning of the book. But you know what this says though? Okay, it says DMs are resting, because guess what? They've been through a lot of shit. And they're not done yet. This is an upright, right? But it's also a good thing, because in reverse it would mean just continuing the cycles. This means epiphanies. This means ascension, right? This means ascension. What was that first underlying card we had? The Divine Feminine, the High Priestess, right? The divine side of the Divine Feminine. Then, yeah, they're seeking spirit. That connects to that High Priestess energy too. They're seeking spirit. Guess what's in here? And guess what? Like, I think I posted a bunch of the songs earlier. There's been songs and syncs all damn day about the star. There was even an old 50s song version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Like, you know? And then the movie Wish Upon a Star. Like, they're wishing. Was it thinking and hoping and wishing and praying? Oh man, see? And then we have initiation, the threshold. And look, it's right in the middle too. Go figure, right? Right in the middle, thresholds, beginning. This is also likely, you know, I can tell you, if you resonate with this video and you feel aggressively affirmed rather than overly triggered, then this also means that communication is coming. But, stay calm. Stay calm. You're on a journey. You're on a journey. This card does not have a destination in it. Notice that? Because healing is a journey. And you got things to do along the way. And if Spirit just plopped them right in your lap, you'd be like, this wouldn't be real. This can't be real. That's too good to be true. And you know what? I know I got you on that too. If you're watching this, I know I got you on that. If Spirit dropped your DM right in your lap right now, and he was like, it's all done, and all my ego is gone, and I know that I messed up, and I'm genuinely sorry, and I'm ready to do all the things and show you all the chivalry and do all that stuff, you'd be like, you gotta be fucking lying. It's too easy. It's too easy. No, it's not, but you see where you get caught? You see where you waffle the vibration? When you believe it can be that easy, and that delicious, and that, like, just, yes, that's when it comes in like that. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put these back and reshuffle. I'm going to pull one more time, and then I think I'll pull a couple Divine Circus cards. And then I'm going to get off of here. Unless somebody wants to have some cards pulled, let me know. Comment below, and I'll pull some cards for you after, just for fun. Woo! All right, here. So these were right on top of the Nine of Swords. Interesting. Somebody has been having some sleepless nights. All right. And guess who it is, right? The King of Wands. So now, for those of you that keep an eye on your DMs in terms of what card did they turn up as, yes, there is astrological connections. You can go fire signs there. But we also go through cycles of, you can look at each of the suits as cycles of learning, all right? Now, it's swords, wands, cups, pentacles. So they're in a King of Wands sort of energy. They're going back into a King of Pentacles sort of energy soon. They had to be brought back down. There's a lot of things that tower, so there's a lot of tower stuff going on. And there's going to be a lot more tower stuff going on. And, oh, thank you. You know what? My guides... Oh, awesome, Annika. Yeah, cool. Oh, well, it's polyventurous@gmail.com. But let's do it this way, because I can't leave the screen on this and I can't type anything in, is that I will put it in the description box of the video afterwards, and I'll put it in the community section, and you can donate whatever you want. And I appreciate it. Thank you. So my guides reminded me of something that I wanted to tell everybody earlier. So there's a lot of DMs that are with the class of 2020.